The alleged victories for rideshare drivers in the state of Massachusetts. Are they actually victories? I got hammered in the comments. So I want to tackle a few of them. It is indeed your boy Tim with another rideshare video. When we say we're for free speech and we do not mind criticism, damn it, we mean it. I got hammered in the comments. I do want to read a few of these comments. This is in regards to my previous video stating that the changes, the wins for drivers in the state of Massachusetts was great news. A lot of folks in the comments stated that what I was telling folks was bullshit and that at the end of the day, the drivers weren't getting shit to be celebrating. So I want to tackle a few comments, certainly hear your opinion on this because I kind of disagree, but if someone makes a point, I'm willing to concede it. First of all, one of the comments stated, you really need education on this. It's a scam. I don't see the scam. The Attorney General clearly was working on behalf of drivers, stated so in a tweet. Now, we know politicians can be bought off, but there's a lot of good shit in this. Covering injuries you receive on the job, being able to accumulate as much as a 40-hour, which is basically an entire week of sick time, paid to you at $20 an hour, meaning that you can accumulate 20 hours of sick time and be at the house, sitting on your ass, healing, getting well, and still earning $20 an hour. How is that bad? Also, annual audits to check the books from Uber and Lyft to make sure they're not on some bullshit. Will they follow through? We can debate that, but very few states, very few markets are Uber and Lyft under obligation of having to submit to annual audits. That's now happening in Massachusetts. How about having to tell you where the destination is? Where you know a lot of these markets, drivers are being sent to pick people up, don't even know where the hell they're at, or you don't know where the passenger's going. They solved that. Once again, forcing Uber and Lyft to be more transparent. I don't see how some of this is not a win. How is this a scam? I'd love to hear from you folks. That is one of the comments. Another comment, great way to, and this one I really disagree with, great way to eliminate Uber and Lyft in that area. Customers pay this cost, not Uber and Lyft. Suggesting that if drivers start receiving $32.50 an hour, it's going to be passed on down to the customer. I hate these arguments. This is what happened in Minneapolis as well. I hate these arguments for the simple reason. The cost that passengers pay ain't got a damn thing to do with what the drivers make. If that was the case, when drivers went from what they were earning in 2013 to having over a 50% pay decrease by 2018, the passengers should have seen the fares go down substantially. But what was happening during that time? The fares went up substantially. Fact is, what the drivers make don't have shit to do with what they're charging the customer. If they could get drivers to drive for $2 an hour or 20 cents a mile, they're not going to cut a damn penny off the price they're charging the passengers. So get out of the notion that if you pay drivers well, it's going to be unaffordable to the passengers. Because they're paying the drivers like shit now and the fares continue to go up. These two things are not connected. However, Uber and Lyft continues to put that out there so that, yeah, passengers and the public at large are really hesitant in giving drivers a raise. This worked incredibly well in Minneapolis. Finally, drivers are going to get a raise in January of 2025, but they had to fight for like two solid years to override that belief. Continuing on, though, after expenses, I only make $8 to $14 an hour. Depends on the day. I am in St. Louis, $8 to $14 an hour. Wow. And that is in the South. I will tell you, there's a huge difference in earnings for American workers, period. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. Even if you're in the same industry, people in the South make less money. It's simple as that. We will explain that further in this video, why I personally believe that is. But here's another one. This is definitely better than what I'm making with Uber in California, But why is Uber paying us an hourly wage anyway? Seriously, what the fuck? Because they don't want to pay you a percentage of the earnings. If they had to pay us a percentage of the fare they're charging the passenger, that would actually tie what we're getting paid to what the passengers being charged. Because now let's say Uber or Lyft gets 30% of the fare the passenger pays, and the other 70 cents goes to the driver. If Uber or Lyft decides to raise their fares, the driver gets a direct raise in connection with it, because our 70%, whatever that is going to go up too. Uber and Lyft from day one have never wanted to give a set percentage to drivers. They have always fought against that. So they're trying to settle for the next best thing, which is giving you some type of hourly calculation. Why? Because it's easier to finagle the numbers. It's easier to play games. Like we talked about Derek Costa using terms like utilized hours, meaning that if you're out driving for 10 hours, but let's say 2 hours collectively is spent waiting for trips, when they say utilize, they only are paying you for the time you're actively involved in a trip. So you can pay hourly, but then you can add all kinds of prefixes to the word hourly to finagle the numbers. If it's a percentage, ain't shit you can do with that. So from day one, Uber and Lyft have always fought against giving drivers a set percentage of the fares. They don't want to do that. In Minneapolis, drivers have won 80% of the fees. Fees can be any damn thing. Surge pricing, rush hour fee, concert fee. You can make up a fee. Uber or Lyft can make up a damn fee for passengers any way they want. If it's a major event where it's going to be a lot of people coming out of a concert, coming out of a play, well, major event fee. You can make fees up anywhere. And the moment the city council in Minneapolis started fighting for 80% of the fees for drivers, they were adamantly against that. Because fees is an avenue for Uber or Lyft to make extra money without giving the driver any of it. And they usually do not give the driver 1 cent of the fees. So 80% of the fees is frightening to them. They'd rather pay you hourly than pay you in percentages. So that's why you're getting paid hourly. I don't know about if we'll ever really win percentages. For the simple fact is, like I said, it would really be a win for us if we get paid in percentages. Here's another one. I get this all the time. I wish I had a better answer for it. Can we expect this to happen at the national level? It says this doesn't help those drivers outside of Massachusetts. Unfortunately, no. Politically, the way this country is ran, in liberal areas, democratic cities, you got a lot more people that fight for increasing minimum wage. You know, the minimum wage debate has always been an argument in this country because minimum wage has been the same in a lot of places for 20 years. In Republican-ran states, where this would likely go, and a lot of Republicans tend to be against forcing an employer to pay you a higher wage. Their mindset is, if you don't like what you're getting paid, go find another job somewhere else that pays you right, or go back to school and learn another trade so that you are more valuable. The employer should be able to pay you based on the free market. Well, Uber and Lyft are never going to give you a raise if it's left up to them to decide whether you deserve a raise or not. Keep in mind, during the pandemic, right after that, the price of fuel under the Biden administration, many might argue, shot up. Uber and Lyft did not give drivers virtually anything, even though the price of gas, the price of oil changes, the price of the damn car itself skyrocketed. If you leave it up to Uber and Lyft to decide whether you get a raise, you'll never, ever get one. There's no denying. If for folks who do over-the-road driving, expediters, truck drivers, all of them saw changes, upward adjustments to their pay based on the fact that gas went up, inflation went up. Uber and Lyft were still taking the price down. They were giving decreases in the middle of that shit. That's the free market. This is what exists in ride sharing. If you want to be a rideshare driver, you got a choice, work for Uber or Lyft. There's nowhere else to go in most markets. So if you don't force them to do what's right, and they clearly intend to do what's wrong, then you're fucked. But if you don't live in an area like Massachusetts or any liberal areas like Seattle, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, where they do regularly fight to get drivers, or raise California, I believe, I said Chicago, Detroit, I have never heard of a Republican politician anywhere in this country fighting to do or even propose anything that benefits drivers in rideshare. Not one. Lots of Democrats. And I'm willing to cover a raise or benefits to drivers. I don't care if it comes from Republicans or Democrats. Not one. So when you say, is this going to go national? You may see it in more liberal areas, but not likely in any Democratic area or being Republican area. They just are not for forcing the wages to go up. They want to leave it up to your employer. So you kind of are at the mercy of that. But I want to hear from you folks, because I had so many comments of people saying this is not beneficial to drivers. Would you be happy if your market did what Massachusetts did, or would you feel it was a scam? And do you prefer things to remain as status quo where you're at compared to Massachusetts? In other words, if you only have one or two choices, you can continue things the way they are in your market now, or you could have what they're doing in Massachusetts. Which one would you choose? Let your boy know in the comments. As always, feel free to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.